I'm Diane Macedo. Today on ABC News Live, a high-stakes meeting. President Biden gets together with congressional leaders at the White House. We're live from the Capitol with what was on and off the agenda. The southern U.S. is bracing for severe weather, including a potential tornado outbreak. The major cities in the bullseye and what you need to do to prepare. And it's a must-win World Cup showdown as Team USA prepares to play Iran. We'll speak with a former player about what's at stake. But we begin with President Biden meeting with congressional leaders at the White House. The president stressed the need to work together on things like funding the government, fighting COVID-19, and supporting Ukraine. But not everyone's in agreement on that. ABC's Jay O'Brien joins me live from Capitol Hill now for more on this. Jay, they may want everyone to agree, but not everyone shares what Biden actually wants to do with those initiatives. So where do we stand now?
Yeah, Diana, what's happening right now is President Biden has his first meeting since the midterms with what's known as the Big Four, the Democratic and Republican leaders in both the House and Senate. This is Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, et cetera. Another thing to watch that might come out of that meeting before we even get into what's on Congress's plate is you see Kevin McCarthy there, right? One seat away from President Biden. These are two people that have both admitted that they had virtually no relationship prior to the midterms. They spoke after Republicans took back the House. So what is their working relationship going forward, both in this lame duck session and then in the new Congress? That is an open question. And when it relates to the lame duck session, there's a lot to get done, right? Republicans and Democrats are under pressure, particularly Democrats. They've got to fund the government by December 16th. Government funding runs out on that date. They've got to avert a rail strike by December 9th. The president now just tapping Congress to step in and try to avert that strike, try to approve that tentative agreement, and in essence, force those rail workers who were eyeing a potential strike back to work to avert a significant economic catastrophe, as the White House and Democrats have put it. So that's the work out in front of both the House and Senate right now. And again, there's limited time to accomplish it because they have until January and that new Congress to get all of this and a few other items done.
Now, the Senate is also expected to hold its final vote on a marriage equality bill as soon as this afternoon. And that would essentially codify same-sex and interracial marriage rights. Do Democrats have enough Republicans on board to get that done?
Well, they got enough Republicans really for what was the biggest hurdle for this legislation in the Senate. They got 12 Republicans to essentially break a filibuster, put this on the floor of the Senate for a vote. They are likely to get that same number of Republicans, if not potentially more, for this final vote. So there is very likely to be passage this afternoon of that legislation in the Senate. Then it has to go back to the House because changes were made in the Senate to make it more passable. Religious freedom exemptions were added, et cetera. So it's got to pass the House there, and only then can it go to the president's desk. And that's another thing that House Democrats are under pressure to take a look at, again, before that new Congress in January.
And when that new Congress takes place in January, Republicans will be in control of the House, Jay. So what does that mean for the House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol?
Well, it means the committee's work is very likely, if not certain, to end. So the question then facing the January 6th committee is how quick can they get this report that they promised to publish out? There is sourcing that this report is likely to come out at least before the new year. This is a report that details all of what they've uncovered from witness testimony, from the video that you saw them play. But their investigation is still ongoing. One key point of that is Tony Ornato, who was the former Trump White House Deputy Chief of Staff, now a high-ranking Secret Service agent, who told Cassidy Hutchinson, according to Hutchinson, about that alleged altercation that Hutchinson claims that Trump had in the SUV with his Secret Service detail. He is being interviewed today by the January 6th committee. So while they are under the wire to get this report out before that new Republican House, they're still conducting their investigation, Diane.
All right, Jay O'Brien, we appreciate it as always. Thank you. And President Biden is also asking Congress to force a deal between railroad companies and labor unions. The president says a potential rail strike would cripple the U.S. economy. ABC News Chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega is at the White House with more. Hi, Cecilia.
The unions and the railroads, they have until December 9th to come to terms and reach a deal on this one. If they don't, President Biden says a strike would cripple the economy. And he is not alone right now in this dire warning. Hundreds of business groups sent a letter to Congress also urging them to intervene, saying a rail service shutdown for any period of time, listen to this, could cost some $2 billion a day. And we are not just talking about passenger travel. A strike could threaten everything from farming and food to crucial chemicals that are needed to keep drinking water clean. This could cause major supply chain disruptions also. But the sticking point this morning for many of these union workers is overpaid sick days. The president getting involved here, calling on Congress to act. This signals a major shift that could end up pitting him against his union allies. So the big question right now is what is next? Congress could force these two sides to keep talking. They could also impose a deal through legislation. But Diane, Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the Congress will take this up this week, but that clock is ticking.
All right, Cecilia Vega, thank you. And we're tracking a major storm on the move. The South is bracing for a potential tornado outbreak with several states under alerts. Rob Marciano joins us from South Haven, Mississippi with more on that. Hi, Rob.
Today is shaping up to be a dangerous day here in the South. Two distinct pieces of energy coming out of the Rockies into the plains are converging on this area for what could become a destructive and potentially deadly tornado outbreak. And for that reason, public storm shelters like this one are opening up across the storm shelter, this storm zone. This particular one is built 2016, so it's very new, and boy, it's stout. It has winds, can sustain winds of 250 miles per hour. That's an EF4 strength tornado. It is missile impact resistant, and it can hold up to 2,000 people. So this is truly a community safe room, which could very well come in handy today because Mississippi is in the threat zone. Matter of fact, we're the bullseye of where most of the severe storm activity is going to be and where we could see some long-track tornadoes. And they're going to be coming potentially at night. And you got to remember that the days are shorter this time of year, and also the jet stream is stronger, so they'll be moving quickly. So there's a lot of reasons why this is going to be a dicey day. So authorities are telling people to have a plan and be ready, be weather aware today. And if you live in a home that's weaker than most, you want to get yourself to a place like this. And you know, you think about late November into December, it feels like it shouldn't be the time of year when we get tornadoes or tornado outbreaks with any sort of strength. But just last year, we had the Mayfield tornado outbreaks. Dozens of people died there. That happened in December. The main storm there was an EF4. We could see something like that today, and for that reason, folks here are certainly worried, and Mississippi has had several rounds of this over the past 6 to 9 months. So unfortunately, they've been through this rodeo once before, and they hope they can go through this one relatively unscathed. We'll see. Diane?
All right, Rob Marciano, thanks for that. And ABC News chief meteorologist Ginger Z has more on the track and the timing of the storm. Ginger, what's the forecast?
Diane, it will be a violent day of storms, and really anyone from Paducah down to Mobile back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana has to be on the lookout. It's going to start with this warm front lifting through. Tornado watches will begin after the noon hour, I'm certain. You see how some of those cells become discrete, we call it, or alone? That's when you can get the rotation. And that's possible all the way through the afternoon and into the overnight hours. Look, that's Tuesday at 10 p.m., so just south of Nashville, all over Birmingham, the skies are erupting. Here are the regions that need to be on the lookout. Again, from Monroe, Louisiana, over to Birmingham. But I want your focus to be right there in the middle of Mississippi, because that's where the heart of the wind shear, we call it. So difference in wind with height, both in speed and sometimes in, well, certainly temperature. You've got that as you go up. But go ahead and show you what's going to happen next on the northern side of that. That's by like a Hattiesburg or Meridian. Have to be extra on alert. Salt Lake City, Utah, you see the pictures. This is the northern side of the storm. Up to 18 inches already fell in parts of Wyoming, but it is snowing this morning in Colorado. Centennial, they're getting the roads cleared there. That cross-country storm is going to impact so many folks, from the wind alerts in New Mexico for up to 65-mile-per-hour winds. There are blizzard warnings in Wyoming, advisories from Nebraska to Wisconsin, and you could end up with 4 to 7 inches of snow in a place like Minneapolis or the Twin Cities there. And then the wind alerts again from Valparaiso, Indiana to Burlington, Vermont, because this thing's going to move in. It's going to be wet, but also super windy. Western New York over to New York City. You can see it down to even Washington, D.C. with a few showers. But Raleigh back to Tallahassee. That's where we see the possibility going into Wednesday of more thunderstorms, which could be on the edge of severe. So this is a broad storm system that is going to impact so many people from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. Diane?
All right, Ginger Z, thank you. And civil defense officials are warning residents in Hawaii to prepare for the worst. The world's largest active volcano is erupting for the first time in 38 years, and that could be especially problematic for those with respiratory conditions. Mola Lengi has the latest from Hilo, Hawaii.
Hawaii's Mauna Loa spewing ash and steam, red rivers of lava bubbling down the volcano for the first time in 40 years.
We're way overdue. We were way overdue for a Mauna Loa eruption.
These incredible thermal videos showing the moment of eruption. The event illuminating the sky with eerie red glow. As a precaution only, emergency shelters have been opened. But as of now, lava is not a threat to downhill communities. Several flights into the Big Island have been canceled, and environmental experts warn of low air quality and VOG, or smog containing volcanic dust. The U.S. Geological Society warning volcanic conditions can change rapidly.
Although the flows currently aren't threatening lives or property, Mauna Loa eruptions can be very dynamic.
The world's largest volcano, Mauna Loa, covers half the Big Island of Hawaii, home to nearly 200,000 people. It's a popular tourist spot, but in October, elevated seismic activity caused Volcanoes National Park to close the area near the summit for safety reasons. As the lava flows, officials say time will tell them what should happen next.
We don't want to try and second guess the volcano. We have to let it actually show us what it's going to do.
Initial eruptions are typically the heaviest, so scientists predict moving forward, lava flow will begin to ease. Of course, folks are encouraged to stay away from this immediate area, but the governor of Hawaii stressing that the state remains open for business and tourists are still welcome, Diane.
All right, Mola Lenghi, stay safe. Thank you. Coming up, do you believe that we will win? The Yanks are coming for Iran in the World Cup, but who will come out on top? We'll speak with a former U.S. soccer player after the break. Welcome back. The U.S. men's national soccer team is gearing up for their must-win match against Iran this afternoon. The country's last World Cup face-off 24 years ago is considered one of the most politically charged matches in soccer history. And this time, tensions may be even higher. ABC's Will Reeve has the latest from Qatar.
Just hours away from their final group stage match of the World Cup, the stakes for the U.S. men's national team are simple and huge. Win or go home.
It's going to be a tough battle. You know, we're going to have a lot of energy in this game and make sure that we're mentally prepared.
The pressure heightened by unexpected political tensions off the pitch. Iran's state-run media demanding FIFA kick the U.S. out of the World Cup for a social media post in which the U.S. team account temporarily removed the Islamic emblem from Iran's flag. U.S. Soccer initially saying the post was a deliberate nod of support for human rights protesters in Iran, before deciding to delete the post.
We had no idea about what U.S. Soccer put out. Our thoughts are with the Iranian people, the whole country, the whole team, everyone, but our focus is on this match.
Protests have been roiling Iran for months after the death of Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old who died after she was arrested for allegedly not wearing a head covering properly. At a contentious press conference on the eve of the game, U.S. captain Tyler Adams and coach Greg Berhalter fielded a series of non-soccer questions, many from Iranian journalists.
First of all, you say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear. Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders?
My apologies on the mispronunciation of your country. Yeah, that being said, you know, there's discrimination everywhere you go.
You are more than welcome in our country, but we are not. So what's your reaction about that?
You know, I don't know enough about politics. I'm a soccer coach.
The U.S. keen to put the attention back on the field. They've tied their first two games in this World Cup, securing 1 point each against Wales and group leader England. Nearly the youngest team in this year's tournament, they know their World Cup destiny is in their own hands.
Now, soccer-wise, the U.S. men's national team has found themselves in this exact position before. Back in 2010, they needed a win in their third game against Algeria, and they got it in the form of a Landon Donovan goal in stoppage time, about as dramatic as it gets. Fans tonight hoping for a win, but maybe not quite as crazy an ending. We shall see if the U.S. advances. Diane?
We'll be watching. Will Reeve, thank you. And I want to bring in former U.S. national team player Alejandro Bedoya, now the captain of the Major League Soccer's Philadelphia Union, for more on this. Alejandro, thanks for being here. You know, the U.S. did better than expected against England on Friday, but a draw won't cut it this time around. They have to win. So how do you think they do that?
Yeah, I think this is the drama that neutral fans love to see. However, I do have to give a lot of credit to the U.S. national team. I think they played a great game against England. They dominated them and they had the better chances. So I think they're coming into this game fairly confident and obviously highly motivated. This is a must-win game. And as you guys just saw, Algeria, the last 2010 World Cup, I know that some of the players went to bed last night dreaming of being the hero and scoring a game winner in such a crucial match to be able to move on.
Now, this Iranian team has gained a lot of attention over singing or not singing their national anthem. They kind of half-heartedly sung it before playing Wales after standing in silent protest before playing England. What are you watching for there, and how hard is it for both of these teams to focus on soccer amid all the political tensions?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew, obviously, with the host nation that there was always going to be some distractions out there, given everything that's at stake off the field. However, I think there was a lot of courage shown by the Iranian team, and we continue to show our support for the women, for human rights, for LGBTQ community. MLS remains steadfast in the support of these communities, and I think the U.S. national team players also support them. So it'd be interesting to see what happens today. But at the end of the day, I know everybody, all these players, all they want to do is put on their best performance for themselves, for their families, represent their country, and come out victorious in such a crucial match to be able to move on in the tournament.
Now, the biggest star of the U.S. team is striker Christian Pulisic. Midfielder Tyler Adams has also played a key role in these games so far. Who will you be watching today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching those two guys as well. I do have to say, I hope to see my former teammate, Brendan Aronson, be able to get some more playing time and have an impact. But absolutely, Tyler has shown throughout this tournament that he is very well deserving of being the captain of this team. He's put on unbelievable performances there and locking the midfield down. And Christian is a star player. He's able to make something out of nothing. And I'm hoping to see him make an impact in this game. But I think I've been very impressed with Yunus Musa in the midfield as well, and I'm just looking forward to seeing our team come out victorious in such a crucial match.
All right, Alejandro, I'm putting you on the spot here. Predictions, what's the final score?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think Iran is going to be more defensive, and hopefully it's not going to be easy to break them down. So I think it's going to be a tough match. 1-0 USA. We're moving on.
I believe that we will win. Alejandro Bedoya, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up on this Giving Tuesday, Scandals, Tony Goldwyn joins us live to talk about a charitable cause for people affected by poverty or disaster. Stay with us. Welcome back to ABC News Live. A boil water warning has been lifted in Houston. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has deemed the water now safe to drink. The warning was issued after a power outage at a water treatment plant over the weekend. China is cracking down on protests over its zero-COVID policy. The protests are one of the largest showings of opposition to the ruling Communist Party in decades. The White House has avoided directly criticizing China's handling of the protest, but acknowledged the country's COVID restrictions are impacting the global economy. And it is Travel Tuesday. Today could be the day to get the best deals for your next vacation. Southwest Airlines has a 30% markdown for flights between January 10th and March 8th. Hotels and cruises are also on sale. Hyatt is offering 20% off hotel stays through April. Select cruises on Norwegian and Virgin are offering buy one passenger, get a second one free. Buy one passenger's ticket, that is. And today is also Giving Tuesday, a day focused on generosity. One organization, AmeriCares, is a relief and development organization focused on helping people affected by poverty or disaster. An actor, director, and producer, Tony Goldwyn, is also an AmeriCares ambassador, and he joins us today with more on this organization. Tony, thanks so much for being on today. Walk me through the beginning of this. How did you get involved in Giving Tuesday and with AmeriCares, and why is it so important to you?
Well, morning. Thanks for having me on. I got involved with AmeriCares almost 20 years ago. I heard the story of how this organization started, which is extraordinary. Briefly, a man named Bob McCauley in the 70s heard about a plane crash in the Vietnamese jungle during the airlift out of the after the Vietnam War, and there were 147 children, I think, crashed in the jungle. And the government wasn't doing anything about it. And everyone threw up their hands. And he said, well, we have to do something. And he and his wife chartered and put a mortgage on their house to charter a 747. And they went to the jungle and picked up these kids. He brought them back to America, placed them all in foster care, and decided to keep doing this work. And his whole idea was to see a need and just take action. And now America's has grown into an extraordinary health-focused, humanitarian relief organization that provides saved lives, in over 90 countries worldwide and throughout the United States. Serves over 4,000 health centers worldwide, is currently in Ukraine and dealing with the crisis in Venezuela and after the hurricane in Puerto Rico and the flood in Indonesia, or the earthquake in Indonesia and the floods in Pakistan. It's just an incredible organization. So, yeah, I've been involved now, as I said, for over 20 years, and I'm on the board and just really proud to support this incredible work.
Sometimes it becomes a barrier to giving when you can't see or feel directly the impact of that money or whatever else you're donating. So are there any particular stories that stick out to you from your charitable work?
Well, as I said, the origin story of America is extraordinary, but I personally have visited a number of the sites around the world where AmeriCares works, and you see, what we do is we go into countries and work with whatever infrastructure, exists and help to provide medicine and medical supplies and training and build out that infrastructure so that communities can become self-sustaining, whether it's a tiny health clinic during the Ebola crisis, in Sierra Leone, or whether it's a hospital system in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. I have seen, when you meet the staffs on the ground and see the work that people are doing and the lives that are being saved through this work, it just, it really, it takes on a human level. And I can tell people today, if they give today to AmeriCares, there's an 8 times match happening. So if you can reach into your pocket any amount and go to americares.org, your contribution will be multiplied by 8 times today. So I just really, urge people to find out more about AmeriCares and help in any way they can.
8 times. All right, Tony Goldwyn, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. And our thanks to you at home for joining us. I'm Diane Macedo. Do stay with us as ABC News Live continues with more news, context, and analysis.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.